Stephen tried to gaslight me, and that 3 out of 5 is a good score. So
he did
3.25 for our lowest book is is still a positive score.
I'll die on that hill. Hello and welcome to the Audiobook Club Podcast 2024 review. Yeah, did I get that right, Johnny?
Sure did.
Awesome.
That was way better than either of my intros when I did it.
Happy days. Right, so on this episode we're going to talk about the, how many books? 12 books that we did this year?
Oh, what? Once a month.
That sounds right. So we're going to go in ranking order, reverse ranking order, so the worst book first, and then we'll go down the line to our favourite book of the year. And I think, Michael, you collated these scores, and Good Omens came out on the bottom, so we're going to talk about that first. Number 12, Good Omens. I don't have a script prepared or anything like that. I can't even remember what we talked about. But what do we all remember about this book?
What's our memories of Good Omens?
It's Good Omens. I remember having a lot of trouble with the kids' POV. Something about the way the kids were like interacting with one another was frying my head.
I didn't like this book very much. Yeah.
Just to go over the scores there, I give it a 3.5. Stephen gave it a 3.5. Jonathan gave it the highest score at a 4, and Jason gave it a 2 at the lowest score. So like I think we're just checking do you guys stand by those scores, and what do you think now?
The fact that I can't remember the book makes me wonder.
That's not a good sign.
It is a 3.5, but I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think 12th of the years is kind of harsh. It's not my bottom book of the year, but it is my second bottom. I remember saying that I felt like the book was a bit of a mess. Like the structure was a bit all over the place, and sometimes I didn't really know what was going on. I think Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett went on to write a lot better stuff after this point. So I think 3.5 is probably where I still sit with it.
Yeah, I give it the highest score, 4 out of 5. I felt, I still would think that I really enjoyed the book. I thought it was quite funny, especially like the Crowley and Aziraphale. Yeah, I really enjoyed their interactions. And Michael, I remember you mentioning too about the this is something I thought about more. You know, the kids' sarcasm about like that's just what governments do and stuff. Like I actually have since thought about that.
Yeah, it was funny.
That was quite funny. Like just in terms of like the show as well, which I watched at the time. I really enjoyed that as well. I love like anything David Tennant's on. He's usually amazing on, and I just think it was like a perfect cast. Him and then Michael Sheen as well as Aziraphale. So I stand by for like I enjoyed it. I don't believe that it should be bottom of our 12 this year, because I think I had 3 books that I actually rated lower than this. This was actually joint with a load of other books that I all rated 4 this year, but I actually put it as 5th out of 12 in my ordering this year.
You put it the highest, Jonathan.
Yeah, I was quite
by a good bit.
Quite enjoyed this book, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at my scores as well. I probably would keep it 3.5 as well. It was good. From what I remember, it was good. A good read, but it just wasn't memorable enough to be higher.
Yeah. Jason, do you still stand by your 2?
Yeah, I was just starting to think back as to what my problems were with this book, and it all sort of came crashing back to me that I actually loved the book to begin with. I thought the first chapter or 2 was amazing, and then it very quickly, very steeply just dive bombed after that. As soon as it switched from David Tennant and Michael Sheen's characters, and I just remember it's really fell off for me. And yeah, I stand by my 2. Although to not completely destroy the book, like this is our lowest book of the year, but it's actually still got a score of 3.25, which in our rankings is still a good score. You know,
I think is that just below a meh? It's between a meh and a mildly negative.
Oh really?
think so. I think 3 point.
I never agreed with those right those
You've changed it now,
like
so I can.
tiers that you have decided on, Michael. To be honest, but yeah,
What?
those like tiers where you're like, this is a meh. I never agreed with those because all the high ones are too high. But
Well,
anyway,
they were literally put out at the fucking start of the whole show. You could have said that
that's so
then.
long ago. Do you know how long ago that is? It's 3 years. 2 years? I don't know. Fuck it.
Well, I can't remember because Johnny's now changed the score.
I do agree with you, Stephen, but you should have said something.
It's too late, Michael. We're locked in.
I know. I still feel like 3.25 is a respectable score. Stephen tried to gaslight me, and that 3 out of 5 is a good score. So
He did.
3.25 for our
Those
lowest
are
book
bad,
is
actually.
is still a positive score.
I'll die on that hill.
But no, it's
We'll get the Calypso eventually. We'll talk about it then.
for me. It was my worst book of the year. I put it number 12.
Yeah. I think we can move on to number 11. We've sufficiently argued about that. Let's start the next argument.
Oh, it's on to me now.
Number 11.
So on to number 11 of the year. That would be the book The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne and narrated by Colin Mace. That was my pick. Good Omens is, someone could argue my 2 has dragged it to last place. But if we compare it to Shadow of the Gods,
Here we go.
actually,
You feel justified?
yeah, I mean, your 1 has not dragged it to last place. It's
It should have though.
actually it got generally quite positive reviews, apart from yourself,
Yeah, it should have
which
though.
we all were very surprised by that, in fairness. But so I mean, I think I'll save you for last, Stephen. But I'll just go with I'll work my way down. So I scored it at 4 out of 5. I said it was my second favorite book of the year since listening to Shadow of Gods in sort of September, October time. I have listened to the sequel, the second book, and I'm now about 2/3 of the way through the third book in the trilogy, which just came out sort of late October. So I've really engaged with the series. I still stand by the 4 out of 5 I gave the first book. I really enjoyed it. Michael, you your original score, you give it a 4 out of 5. How do you feel about that now?
Yeah, I completely stand by that. I think the world building in this book alone was breathtakingly well done. I think the way it was woven together, the way the descriptions came together was such a well realized, fleshed out world. I thought it was extremely well done. I had issues with some of the storylines and some of the characters, but they felt like minor discrepancies for like what was really interesting, like vivid fantasy world. I definitely think that 11 is way too low for this book, in my opinion.
Thank you. What ranking did you give Shadow of the Gods in your own list?
I don't have my own list in front of me.
I am wondering because the overall has it like that number, and it seems low.
I think I give it around 8 or 9.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is still second bottom, and I mean, like Johnny gave it a 3.5, but that is actually one of his lowest scores of the year. In fairness, so he's probably got quite low on his list, I'd imagine, Stephen. And I obviously know where you've put it in your list, so.
I'm not flaming it right now. By the way, I'm just wondering.
I mean, you weren't here for that episode, so it actually will be interesting to hear what you have to say about it in your own words, and not my bastardized version of your text message.
Your jaded words from the text message.
Where we all just sat and slide you off afterwards. Johnny, you scored it a 3.5 out of 5. You happy with your score?
Yeah, happy enough. I remember agreeing a lot with Michael said about the world building. Yeah, it was just a great, there felt like there was a lot of lore in this world and stuff that you got like a really good sense of depth, even though we only really explored a small part of it. And I remember loving the whole, similarity with like Viking kind of culture and things like that, which I really, really love. Obviously I picked the book, the Norse mythology one, because of my love of like Viking mythology and Viking lore, so I felt like this book definitely had a lot of that in it. Yeah, I think what pulled it down for me was some of the character stuff. I remember one of the characters being very similar to the other two and felt like it could have just done without. But yeah, I really enjoyed the other two character stories. So yeah, a 3.5 I stand by. Actually, you brought up a good thing there. I've just been looking there that my lowest score this year was 3, which is mad, because considering last year I had 2 1s, which was Slow Horses and Blood Meridian. So like this has been a pretty successful year for books for me, I think, in terms of enjoyment, because yeah, a 3 was my lowest of all the books that we've done this year. So yeah, my list, this was 10th overall.
Like, we've definitely all scored the books a lot higher this year round. I mean, if you look at some of the scores last year, but just by like sort of eyeballing that, there's 4 of them even below 3 overall. Like, so
There were some stinkers last year.
I think we've picked a lot of beloved books this year. Like, there's a lot of really famous books that we've done this year, I think.
just didn't agree. I'm just looking at the Hitchhikers getting 3 5s and a 1. And speaking of me giving Stephen a 1, I think it's time we heard from Stephen. So Stephen,
Before we move on, can we just bury the hatchet here and just
no, no,
draw a line under it now?
it's no.
And that's it. That's what I'm saying.
This is healing, Stephen.
That's
You
what's
have to
gonna
have
happen.
it
Now
out.
is your time. So you weren't here. You weren't here for this episode.
I didn't like it.
You scored it a 1 out of 5.
I didn't like it.
Tell us.
It was boring. The book was boring. I think, from what I remember, there was a lot of POV switching. It wasn't like every chapter a different POV. And they were so, not dense, maybe that's not the right word, but they were so meandering that it was really hard to lock in on what each character's plot was. And I remember thinking halfway through or something that could have been better if it was 3 single books that then tied in together for the 4th or something. But I just did not enjoy the POV switching at all. And I think that affected the overall plot and then made it hard for me to get invested in the world building. And yeah, that's all I want to say.
That's fair enough. You sure you want to pass up this?
Also, well, I suppose, I was like, my son was about to be born at the time, as I recall, and I was like thinking of other things at the time, so that might have pulled it down a wee bit, but I don't think so.
Nah, we're getting to the reason.
That was shite. I stand by it. I'm just saying that might have had something to do with it.
Aye,
but I don't think
that's
so.
fair enough. Look, it's okay. It's okay, Stephen. You're allowed to score it a 1 out of 5.
I know. Can we draw a line under that now?
No. We'll come back to it next year.
I don't want to.
Actually, we'll come back to it in January after your book.
I'm out that month.
Unfortunately, this year I seem to be just scraping the barrel, and I have also clocked in book number 10, and that book is Ready Player One, which on average we scored a 3.5 out of 5.
I've been waiting to hear about this.
Bit of a mixed, well, not even a mixed bag actually. 3 of us scored it the same thing, and one person gave it a low 2.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't you, no. I'm gonna start from the bottom and work my way up this time. Michael, you made your feelings very clear about this book, Ready Player One. So you scored it a 2 out of 5. How do you feel about that score now?
I feel I was slightly generous with that score. I would probably put that down to a 1.5. I do not think this book is well written at all. I think Wade was such a obnoxious, repugnant character. It was just very hard to follow. It just relied so much on this gimmick of the 80s references, and the plot points, some of them were so stupid, like having to act out a movie and having to rely on that plot twice. I can't remember what you call the guy he looked up to as well, but that was very murky and weird. And then there was a lot of like weird problematic stuff with the romance and stuff, and I thought Wade came across a bit like an incel. I did not like this book. This was definitely my lowest of the year.
Michael hated the 80s. That's all you needed to say.
Johnny, you give it a 4 out of 5. What would you say about this book now?
I put this as 9th on my list. So I give a lot of books a 4 this year. So this was the lowest of those 4s, if I ranked all those 4s together. But still a 4. Still really enjoyed it. Loved the things Michael seemed to hate. I really enjoyed the cheesy references and stuff like that. I really like the link with technology, given that's my day-to-day work is in technology. I just Yeah, I thought this was a great book. I think it might be a bit overhyped in terms of like, I feel like a lot of people say this is like one of the best books ever. Like I feel like maybe this is because it's like, a very pop culture book. Maybe that's why a lot of people are they say that it's the best book ever just because there's so much to talk about it, like, and so many references and stuff. But yeah, good book for me.
Thank you. And Stephen, you also scored it a 4 out of 5. You happy with your score? What did you sort of rank it in your...
I actually ranked it second on my list. I think this is one of the best books we did this year. It's one that I definitely come back to every whip round, and I don't know, it just gives me nice feelings when I'm listening to it. I think all the references are good, and they kind of resonate with me as a person, and just even the like setting of the VR sort of what we want VR to be essentially is just nice. I don't know, I like it.
It's interesting.
Thanks for recommending it.
Well, that maybe brings us towards the topic of old scores versus maybe updated scores. If you sort of ranked this as your second favourite for the year, just from looking at your list, you've ranked a few books higher than that this year over the 12 months. So would you score it higher than the 4, do you think now? Or?
No, maybe 4.5, maybe. But it would be, I don't know, it's kind of on like a borderline there between them. 4.25. Let's say that.
On the fence.
Yeah, on the fence. It's a great book. I don't, like Johnny was saying, I think it is a bit overhyped, but I like it. I don't know if it deserves a 4.5. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, like, it does sort of coast on the references.
Yeah.
But I like it for that. So I don't know. It's a weird one. I think those other books that you mentioned will go down for me. Just apart from one of them. But yeah.
I assumed if you weren't taking that up, ones are coming down. But yeah, in terms of, so I also scored it a 4 out of 5. On my original list, I've ranked it as 10th here, the one I sent to Michael. But now the more I think about that, honestly, I might, I see what I ranked 11th and what I've ranked 10th, and just from sort of thinking back on the book, I think I probably would score it lower than 4 out of 5. I think it maybe had some rose tinted glasses, maybe because it was my pick, to be honest. Maybe I need to admit that I maybe scored it slightly higher because it was my choice, but I don't know. I think I would maybe even take it down to 3.5, if not a 3 out of 5 potentially.
Really? God.
Michael has never been happier.
I just want to compare. I give out a lot of 4s this year, and I've give one book a 3.5. But I've sort of, I don't know. I feel like I've maybe gone off Red Dwarf now since sort of listening to it. I might actually have to sort of swap my listens about a wee bit. So I have ranked it as 10th.
I wonder why that happened.
What?
It's just because I thanked your last year.
I'm putting your book up above it. Excuse you.
Red Dwarf was mine as well.
Exactly. I'm putting Red Dwarf above.
That's what I say.
I thought you were saying you were going to move it down.
I had Red Dwarf lower, but I'm starting now to consider about putting it higher than Ready Player One. We'll see for your cheek.
Oh, good man.
Yeah, I think I probably would actually rank Ready Player One as my 11th favourite book of the year. So updating my list slightly. I probably would give it a 3 out of 5 now rather than a 4 out of 5 in hindsight. I think it has dropped down a bit. I think that'll probably still keep it as one of the bottom 3 books. Well, bottom definitely will be the bottom 3 books. But yeah, that was book number 10 in our rankings, Ready Player One.
Yeah, and the top 12, there was 2 books that we could not separate with both of our rating systems put together. There was 2 that were still joint, and those were both my books. Those 2 books were Name of the Wind and To Kill a Mockingbird. Both of those got a 3.75. I'll be talking about Name of the Wind first there, just to see what people's feelings are on that now. This is the one, this was my epic fantasy pick for the year. It's one of the most, it's like a modern classic. It's one of the most famous epic fantasy books out there. This is the one Stephen accused me. He said I had a protagonist type, despite me going on the whole episode talking about how Quoth was a Mary Sue, agreeing with that fact.
There's a lot of rage towards me right now.
And also, we mentioned that you used Kelsier as an example. Kelsier is not the protagonist of Mistborn for the 16th time, you know. But
And he dies.
I'd give this a 4-star, so I did. I would kind of stand by that. I think the book is really, really well written. I think the writing style and the world building and the mystery and the magic system all make this such an interesting book. It's just the fact Quoth is such an unlikable character, and he has a Mary Sue, and he's a big obnoxious know-it-all, and he just really spoils this book. If this book would be like a 5 for me if Quoth was...
He's Wade.
No. He's almost Wade, actually. He's almost that insufferable, but if Quoth was like a really good character, I would give this a 5, but Quoth pulls this down big time for me, so I stand by a 4. I'll go to you next, Stephen. I'm just going to go from left to right order, the way it's on our spreadsheet.
I stand by. Was it a 3 I gave it?
3, you
I
give it
think it was just okay. It was okay. It was better than another one.
Mistborn.
Kelsier one. Yeah. It was just okay. I remember enjoying parts of it and not enjoying other parts of it. Middle of the road.
Yeah, Jonathan, you give it a 4. How do you feel about that?
In my list, it came 7th, so just missing out in the top half. And actually, it came 7th and Calypso came 6th. I remember distinctly thinking about the ordering of these two. And Calypso just nicked it because of how funny it was. But in terms of like the magic system, really enjoyed that. I love the whole fact that it was going to this like college or university or whatever it was to like learn, and you were kind of learning about it with him. I like that. Yeah, he was a bit of a dickhead at times, and like he was like cheating almost in a lot of the ways, or like doing some sneaky. And then I love the whole rivalry he had with that, that guy that, they kept trying to one up each other. It's just kind of like a Harry Potter Draco Malfoy kind of relationship. Yeah, I remember having some issues with like the romance thing, and yeah, for me it wasn't like as good as say like the Final Empire, the Mistborn. But yeah, still really enjoyed it, and yeah, I would stick by a 4 for this.
Jason, you also give it a 4. How do you feel about that now?
I'm quite happy with the 4. I think when I give the review, I was quite negative. I feel like I was called out in the review for being negative, but I think I was more negative in that just purely because of like the size of this book and the sort of scale of this book. I wanted to score it higher almost.
That's right. I remember being confused about your score.
No, I really, really liked the book, and at the time afterwards, I'd have purchased a sequel. I've not got round to it yet because it's like 40 odd hours long. I've been sort of put off, and the fact that there's no third book released also puts me off.
Yes, I know. Yes,
but no, I really liked this book. I scored it 5th in my list for the year. It was one of my higher 4s, definitely. There's some issues, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But really, really enjoyed it. I will eventually listen to the sequel.
Yeah, I was surprised that you're rating 2, Jason, but I think I understand what you're saying, that you had these really high expectations to like love the book. So maybe your words came off as slightly negative, but there was still a lot of positive on the book for you.
Yeah, I think I voiced all the negatives and forgot to say all the positive stuff.
Yeah. No, that's grand. So next book is one of my favourite of all time books that I picked, but I did pick this. When I picked this, I thought to myself, I think I have picked the book that will come bottom this year, because I did not think that it would be well received by everybody. So I was pleasantly surprised to see this. It has come joint 8th, so it's not quite the middle, still lower half, but good, decent enough. I'm happy enough with where it landed. This is actually my top book of the year. I actually would it's one of 3 5s that I give, and I would give it my strongest 5. I love the book. I think it is so wonderfully written. It's considered one of the best books of all time, and I can completely see that through the spirit of the book, the realization of the characters, the way Harper Lee wrote childhood. I thought it was such an immersive read, and it gives me that feeling that a really good book can achieve, where you're just when it's finished, you're kind of still it's lingering with you, and you're thinking about it, and it's just growing in your head. So yeah, I really like this book. I'll stand by my 100%. Stephen, you give this a 3, which surprised me. I thought you would be lower on this book, so I was happy. And I think you said during the review that you actually improved your score based on how we talked about it.
100%. I think there was 2 books that happened to this year. Maybe it was one of the last books we did last year.
Blood Meridian last year.
Yeah, it was actually because of all the religious stuff, wasn't it? Yeah. Sort of similar thing here. My enjoyment of the book went up when we discussed it, and some of the, we talked through some of the like themes and stuff. Some of the more subtle like nods it was doing in the book. I can't remember specifically. There's something about a dog, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then just our discussion just brought it all up for me. Yeah. So I think I would give that one a little bit higher actually because I have a good memory.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I'd move that up to a 3.5. Not a big jump, but it was definitely over Good Omens for me, which I put as a 3.5 as well.
Yeah, cool. Jonathan, you give this a 3, which I also was not expecting you to be that high on it, but you also did. When you sent me through your rankings, you put this as your bottom book of the year, which did hurt my soul a little bit, not gonna lie. How do you feel about a 3 on this book now?
I remember I did not really enjoy this book that much. Honestly, I probably would give it 2.5. Now thinking about it again, I think I only give it 3 because of the meaning of this book and how important it is to, I don't know, society or whatever, but
I feel like you said that at the time. That
yeah, I think I was just kind of marking it up because I don't want to, or like because it is an important book in history. But yeah, in terms of how I enjoyed it, yeah, I didn't really enjoy it that much. I thought it was a bit boring. I thought some of the lessons to be learned from it were quite almost ambiguous at times, like the right and wrong and how Atticus, made some decisions and was made out to be some kind of, friggin' saint or whatever. But I thought some of the decisions he was making weren't actually as good as what the book is making out. Yeah, it just didn't resonate that much with me.
I think we did talk about that during the episode, and I think my impression of that, I don't know if I did mention it actually during the episode, but just in case I didn't, is always that this is a bit of an unreliable narrator from Scout. Atticus is like, he's seen through the lens of his child, so he's like an idealized version of what he actually is. And because he actually is much more flawed in the sequel when it's told from the adult perspective, so I think that's almost basically confirmed by the sequel. But I'll go on to you, Jason, there. You give this a 4-star. You were the highest after me. How do you feel about that rating now?
Yeah, I'm quite happy with that 4. Thought it was a very powerful book. Definitely some fairly traumatizing moments in the book. A bit more, I was going to say grounded. It probably is a bit more grounded compared to some of the other stories we've listened to, I suppose. Sort of off the beaten track. It's not our usual sort of fantasy genre.
Yeah, a literary book.
I really enjoyed it. I like the characters. I like the sort of coming of age childhood aspect of it all. I feel like I maybe mentioned, from memory, I feel like it was maybe a slightly slow start to the thing. But no, I'm quite happy with my 4 out of 5 for To Kill a Mockingbird. I did score it 8th in my list. I did give it quite a lot of 4s out this year, so it is still sort of in my bottom half, but like it was still.
So you scored it. You scored it where it landed. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I suppose. So I'm back on. So finishing off my picks for the year, all 3 in the bottom half. We have got Calypso by David Sedaris coming in the 7th place. I remember it well. It feels like it does actually feel like a while ago since we listened to this book. It was way back in February when it was released. We actually recorded it basically this time last year. Yeah, I mean, it's scored quite high. We all sort of give it roughly around the same sort of scores. I think I'll just go with Stephen, who scored it the lowest. Stephen, you give it a 3 out of 5 for Calypso. How do you feel about that ranking now?
This is one of the ones that would go up for me, for sure. It's definitely higher than a 3. It's probably a 4, maybe a bit more than that. I actually ranked this 5th overall, and I think it would have been 4th, but the 4th place, there was no chance of beating that, but we'll talk about that later. It was Prisoner of Azkaban. If that hadn't been in there, this would have been 4. what was I going to say? Yeah, it was just really enjoyable from memory. Like, I liked hearing about the guy's life and all the stuff with his sister and all. I thought it was really interesting. And then there was like some comedy thrown on as well. So I think I'd put it up there for.
And I just want to clarify, you're putting that up to 4 in your own free will and not because I've slagged you off for the last year about you giving it a 3.
yeah, free will. Michael will. Well, I was going to say Michael will defend me with my list, but I suppose that doesn't prove anything, does it? So yeah.
It was high on his list too.
Right, you can take that gun away from me now.
Takes away the gun from your temple.
No, honestly, I definitely would just, on free will put it up to 4.
Well, it's good. It's good in hindsight.
But a 3 is a good score, and I will die on that hill.
Just cut that out, Michael.
Yeah.
Johnny, would you like to go next? You scored it a 4 out of 5. Do you feel like changing that score at all? Are you happy with that?
No, happy enough. This was 6th on my list, so yeah, top 6, top half. I remember this book just being hilarious. I remember the first 1 or 2 chapters. It took me a little while before I understood the sense of humour. And then it just really resonated with me and just thought it was hilarious. I remember laughing out loud a few times. Particularly the story about the tumour and feeding it to the snapping turtles was just hilarious.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, the whole bit where he says, "Oh, it's like the snapping turtle will just eat it without regard." Whereas like if you feed a tumour to a dog, it'll give you a look, being like, "Was that a fucking tumour?" It's like I just thought that was fucking hilarious. But it's funny. I actually was listening to the Be Useful, the one by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he mentions David Sedaris and his litter picking thing in that book, which I thought was quite funny. Just a wee throwback to it, just because he's talking about people doing stuff to be useful and essentially, and like always have like goals and stuff like that. So David Sedaris he just goes on about this guy that just goes out one day and just starts picking up litter just to get his steps on, which I thought was quite funny. But yeah, no, I'd stick with a 4. In terms of entertainment value, this book was brilliant, but obviously it was literally just like anecdotes from his life, and it's never going to get a 5 for me. Obviously it has to be like a basically an epic fantasy, or has to be really special book for a 5 for me. But yeah, 4 is definitely a good score, and I'd stand by that.
And Mick, you also scored it a 4 out of 5. Anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I thought this was a really enjoyable, like really whimsical read. I think I said on the episode, it's unlike really, I've listened to so many audiobooks and it's very unique. And I think once you get to a certain level of content consuming, novelty itself is like something you really enjoy. So just getting something different. So I really enjoyed listening to it from that point of view. It was, it was enjoyable. I remember Stephen, not to keep having beef with Stephen, but Stephen at the time.
This isn't cool. Like, this is every other book now. Stop with the hate. I'm not even joking. Like, there's other bad scores that were thrown out, but nobody got flamed for that.
But you gasped when me and Jonathan give this a 4, and you said we're being well generous, is what I would only wanted to mention.
He's changed his mind.
Yeah, but I think we should respect our scores as well, But no, I enjoyed the book. Like, I stand by my 4.
And where do you have your list? Did you find your list at all, or do you remember where you put it?
On my list, I think I had it around where it is.
7th place. Yeah, I really like this book. It was my pick. I think I probably would bump up the score. I think I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5 now in hindsight. It's a book I look back on fondly, as you say. Probably remember more of the funny stories than the more serious bits. Johnny mentioned the tumor-eating turtle. I vividly remember telling one of my patients recently, I think they were talking about getting something removed and they wanted to keep it. So I sort of referenced this book and was like, oh yeah. And then he fed it to a snapping turtle and the patient just sort of looked at me. I was like, I'm never reading that book. I thought it was funny. But I think I would potentially bump that up to 4.5. I scored a 3rd on my list. It was my top scoring 4 of the year anyway. So
I don't remember us really talking about anything negative about the book at all. Like, it was maybe like there was like a one wee scene or something where we said that was a wee bit of a weird divergence, but I think overall I can't remember us really saying anything negative.
Yeah. And like, I mean, it sounds about a few of us are thinking about bumping up the score, so I mean, it probably would sit somewhere a wee bit higher on the list potentially.
I think it had those weird live moments too, didn't it?
Oh yeah, you didn't like the live moments. I did find it quite funny.
I liked them too.
They were different in an audiobook. They kind of broke my immersion a wee bit, but it wasn't a big deal or anything.
No, it's fair. Yeah, it was a different experience of an audiobook, definitely. But yeah, that's my hosting duties over for our 2024 review. So I'll pass it over to number 6.
I'm number 6 with different seasons, so I squeaked one onto the top half there. This was my very last book of the year, a collection of 4 novellas. Obviously, 2 very famous movies in this, The Body and Shawshank Redemption. I give this a 4.5. I was the highest score I usually am on my books because I've already read or listened to them and I already know that I really like the books, which is why I picked them. I would stand by a 4.5. I mean, we literally only just reviewed this book, like, so I don't think anything's changed in the last fucking couple of weeks. Stephen, I'm going from left to right again. Do you give it a 4 or do you still stand by it?
100%, yeah, it was a good one. Trying to think now, what was the 4 story? There was one story I didn't like. What was the last one? What was the last one?
Breathing method.
Oh yeah, that pulled it down for me. That was the only one that I really didn't like. And then there were some bits in the body that were, I think it was sort of similar to how when I was talking about Good Omens and like the way the banter that the kids had, it was a bit annoying. But I can't really remember at the same time, so it was more so that last story really pulled it down for me.
It was Stephen King's story too. He did like the two like stories within his stories. I don't think he liked those either.
I didn't like that either. Yeah, that's right. That just there's something weird about that for me. But yeah, overall it was good. I would definitely listen to that again, except for that last one.
Jonathan, you give it a 3, which I was surprised at because we briefly talked about it on the bus down to Dublin, and you were saying that you were enjoying the book. So I was like, a 3 is not enjoy. Well. We've debated this already, but
let's go back to Stephen here. A 3 is a good score, all right.
The 3 is a good score,
right,
Michael.
So
a 3 is the middle. A 3 is the middle of our scale.
Now, when we discussed this in the bus, I happened to be listening to A Pupil, which, as we talked about, I really, really enjoyed. So that's where that came from. And the 2 parts of it that brought it down for me were yet to be read. So that's what happened there. Yeah. Really loved the Pupil story. That's a story I've never heard. Shawshank, absolute classic. Loved it. And yeah, the Stand By Me story discussed. Didn't enjoy as much. Found it quite boring. And then the breathing method was just I don't really even know what happened there, to be honest. It was a bit of a mess of a story. I was very glad it was short.
I think Jason was the only person who was positive on the breathing method, including myself.
Yeah. So this came 11th on my list, and I would definitely say a 3. Still, we're still rated higher than To Kill a Mockingbird for me. Yeah, the 2 other stories kind of pulled down those other great stories.
I'm glad that your list isn't like the official list, Jonathan, because you had both of mine bottom 2. Jason, you give this a 4-star. Do you still? Do you stand by it? Fucking 2 weeks later.
Yeah, I mean, not much has changed in 2 weeks. It was, you've seen from my list, I scored it 9th. I had it as one of my lower 4s. Probably my lowest official 4 now, because I think the one I scored below it was Ready Player One, which I've sort of now changed to 3 out of 5. I did like it. I did like the last story, as I said. I thought it was quite a short, succinct horror, and that sort of whole thing about delivering a baby with a headless corpse and everything at the end. I thought that was quite a good visual storytelling. It was Stand By Me that I just struggled with, the Body that I struggled with. I find it quite boring. I made that quite clear in the last review.
Yeah, he does.
A Pupil was a good story, just traumatizing. I don't ever really want to engage with it again. You didn't sell the movie for me, so I'll not be partaking in that either. But no, I'm happy with the 4 out of 5 though overall. I
forgot to mention it to you on the episode because when I was listening back to episode, then I was like, why didn't I mention the fucking ending of Apt Pupil is like completely different too from the book. It's like Todd, isn't it? Isn't that the kid? Todd just gets away with it at the end of the movie.
I don't like that. Like, I think the book, that's far better.
That was a really bad
change.
change.
Yeah, it's terrible change. Like, the fact that he gets killed at the ends is what kind of like brings the justice.
Yeah. That's one thing when I listen back to episodes, I'm always like, I should have said that or should have said this, and then that was the one thing I was listening to last time. I was like, fuck's sake, I forgot to bring that up. That it was a terrible change. On to book 5 then.
Book 5 was Red Dwarf. Yeah, it's. I think this was my top for the year, wasn't it? And I think I would for sure stand by this. I just love this book. I'm a big fan of the TV show since I was a kid, and like the book really, it's different, but it really like has the same vibe, and it's just an enjoyable time, full of laughs and weird but good sci-fi, I think. And yeah, I really like it. But I think we're all positive on this one. 2 4.5s and 1 4 and a 3.5. So everybody seemed to like it. So just start with you. What would you change that, or would you? You said you would change it, didn't you? So
I don't know. I think I said I would probably change it in my rankings. I had it as 11th, but I think I would probably put Ready Player One underneath it. I would probably still keep it as a 3.5 overall. I don't think it's just quite as good as different seasons for me, which I would sort of say would now be my lowest 4 out of 5. But no, I did. I mean, there's the obvious comparisons to Hitchhikers, which kept sort of drawing upon, but I just felt it was, I felt it was executed a lot better. I found it a lot more enjoyable.
That's why I thought you would hate it. I was actually surprised to your score and the fact that you didn't.
I remember being surprised too. I think we might even talked about that, Michael, where I think we were saying he's going to hate this.
Yeah.
I think you read it before, same as me.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I was probably going to hit it too, I'll be honest with you, but maybe that's why I have scored it sort of relatively high. Well, I mean, I still like put it as like the bottom 3 on my list. Like I had it 11th, now I moved up to 10th. I still did rate it as one of my lower books of the year, but I did enjoy it though. Yeah, I did like it.
I mean, I'm happy enough with that, like, because we did a lot of good books this year, so it's
strong list this year.
Yeah, for sure. Michael, what do you think? Any changes to your?
And I would stand by my 4.5. I think you already knew before you picked this book that I think we talked about it a few times, Red Dwarf, that I really like this book, and I stand by 4.5 100%. I said that it's up there with Hitchhikers, but it's just not as good. And I think you said the exact same, that you agreed with that then, Stephen. I still hold that opinion. I think it's a lot of fun. It's just a really, really great book, and it's one that I come back to a few times because it's just an easy listen, and it's very funny.
For sure. You need to do the sequel as well, if you haven't.
No, I still haven't.
I think it's... I'm not sure if it's better or slightly maybe about the same, but yes. Alright, cool. Johnny, any thoughts?
Still a 4 for me. I think on my list I put it as 8th. I think I really enjoyed the silliness of it. I think one of the criticisms I had at the time was that it was sometimes a bit too silly, like it went a bit overboard with the silliness, whereas like, Hitchhikers I think was the right amount. But yeah, enjoyed it. I really liked the TV show, which I still dip into from time to time now, just when I'm looking for a wee quick 20-minute episode or something. Just like a month, season 2 or something like that. Like maybe it's like one episode a month or something I do here, like just here and there, like whenever I'm just, when you're browsing around something and you just can't settle on something, and then I just go, I'll just watch an episode of Red Dwarf. But yeah, no, enjoyed it. But would probably, would listen to the sequels in the future.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm glad you're still watching the TV show. It completely changes after season 3. Well, not completely, but it's very different, but still really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Alright, cool. Moving on then.
Just first, apologies to the listener that whoever actually enjoys listening to my voice. I haven't been hosting any yet. Fortunately, all 3 of my books are in the top 4. And then obviously the other one is Prisoner Azkaban, which I also hosted. So I'll just basically take all top 4 books. So yeah, going on the 4th is Treasure Island. So it came in with a score of, or an average score of 4.25. So Michael gave it a 4.5, Stephen gave it a 4, I gave it a 4.5, and Jason gave it a 4. Very happy with that. This was the Audible an adaptation of it where you had like a full cast. Like remember Catherine Tate was in there doing like almost like a performance. So it was a bit something different than what we usually do, like where we have like a single narrator. This time it was actually you're getting a load of different actors doing character voices. And I remember there was a lot of sound effects and stuff like that thrown in as well. So it was a whole production. We'll maybe go with Stephen first. So what's any thoughts, differences or changes, or what do you remember about this book?
Yeah, I have a lot of fond memories of listening to this book. I can't, let me see, where did I rate it? I think it was pretty high. Actually, no, it didn't. It was 7. But we did so many good ones again that it's up there for sure. I really liked the full cast to it. I remember thinking that I was going to hate it because of that. And also, it had music in it too, didn't it? And like atmospheric sounds and stuff. Yeah, so I was a bit worried that was going to affect my enjoyment of it, but I remember liking it like a lot. I'd read the book before in school, but this was just a really enjoyable like trip back through it again. So yeah, I think it's still a 4 for me, but would definitely listen to it again.
Cool. Jason, what about you? You also gave it a 4?
Yeah, it was just a fun time. Treasure Island, from what I remember. Good cast of characters. Just the production value is quite high. And the story, I mean, it's one of the most famous stories ever, you know. Quite happy with my 4. I scored it 6th on my list, so not far off where it's finished up. You know, a sort of middle ground for me overall, but no, it was a really good selection.
Michael, you give it a 4.5, same as myself. How did this rank for you in your list? And yeah, what thoughts do you have now on this book?
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed this audiobook. Similar to Stephen, I have reservations about full casts, sound effects, and all the works within an audiobook. I usually think minimalism is the best approach, but this was an exception to that. This was extremely well produced and well done and well put together, and I think that elevated what was already a great source material. So, I think the performances were all great, and it was just a really enjoyable, immersive story. It's definitely one of my highest of the books, so I think it deserves to be high up on the list.
Yeah, cool. And I give it a 4.5 as well. And yeah, I also put it 4th on my list, so exactly where it is in our overall list. And yeah, like I think just doing the whole sound effects thing and, you know, making this a whole production really took advantage of the fact that it's an audiobook and took advantage of having the ability to add sound to a book, which I think is something that a lot more books should be doing. And I have seen like Audible in particular is now doing this adaptation thing with a lot of books. I think they did it with 1984. I think me and Jason both listened to that. Not sure if you Michael and Stephen you have, but I really enjoyed that 1984 version as well. And obviously I'm assuming they'll do a lot of this in the future too, so I'll be interested to listen to the other, you know, famous books that get this kind of adaptation. But yeah, 4.5 I think is a deserved score for this in terms of what this has done in like modern pirate kind of culture and stuff, and like a coin and a lot of the terms and all. So coming in 3rd in the list on our overall list was The Last Wish, and that was also a 4.25 average rating. So The Last Wish is the first in the Witcher book series. I actually give this a 5 and the rest of you all give this a 4. So we'll maybe go to you first again, Stephen.
Sure. Yeah, I think where I rated this a 3 as well on my overall list, or 3rd place I should say. It's just a really good listen. Again, the Witcher universe is really well put together. It's just enjoyable. There's a lot of stuff in there to keep you engaged. I hadn't listened to this before, but I had done the first 3 like novels. So there's a lot of stuff in this, what would you call it, like a short story collection that all tied together with a little story, yeah. So this kind of tied a lot of like the random bits of lore that you would hear in those other books together. You know, you'd hear something that happened in, you know, the first book, and it'd be like, well, what are they talking about there? And it was nice to see that like fleshed out a bit. So yeah, I would definitely listen to it again. It was good. I can't remember the stories that were in it. I'm sure I have a list somewhere, but I think they were mostly good. There might have been one of the short stories that I didn't enjoy, but yeah, can't remember, so I'll not dwell on it.
I remember when in that episode, if people go back and listen, I remember we had a great discussion of like our rankings of the stories. So yeah, we can go back to that episode if you want to see what way we ranked them.
I remember enjoying. There was a lot of like not retellings, but like allusions to what do you call it, fairy tales, and I remember enjoying that a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely a good one for me.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, over to you, Jason.
Yeah, I give it 4 again. Very happy with that score. Quite keen to engage with the further stories and lore of the Witcher series. I remember when we were recording this, I can't remember, did we all have pretty similar rankings apart from like Michael from memory?
No.
He just sort of
Oh yeah.
yeah, like I feel like we all sort of similarly enjoyed the stories apart from Mike.
I did not like the Law of Surprise story.
I think I sort of recognise the stories as well from probably watching the first 2 seasons of the show. I think most of them probably came from this book. That was good. I scored it 4th in my list overall for the year. It was definitely one of the stronger books for me. So 3rd place is a sort of good slot for it.
Yeah, I don't think I said, by the way, but I would push my score up to 4.5.
Oh really? Nice. Michael, how about you? You also give it a 4?
I am still a 4 on this book, but I would say it's one of my weaker 4s, and I would probably, in my overall rankings, I think I had it the lowest. I think I had it around maybe 6th-ish, maybe even possibly lower half, I can't remember now. It's a good book, in my opinion, and the stories are all good. I think it just, 3rd of the year feels high to me for the quality of the books that we've done this year, but I still enjoyed this book. It was a good time. I could not give it lower than a 4.
Yeah, is you saying that because I give your 2 books lowest? Is that why you're saying that? Oh, okay.
No, I did my list before you did your list.
Yeah, I give this 5 and actually put it 2nd of my books of the year. Absolutely love The Witcher. I think I'm a bit biased on this book because I played the 3rd game and it's one of my favourite games ever, and also really love the show and just love the lore behind this. Probably one of my favourite series as well, the whole Witcher series. But yeah, I loved how the book was actually, structured in terms of it was just little bite-sized stories, and then there was these little intervals in between, and that was like, you're sitting around with the nurse or whatever, the person that was treating him, and he was like recounting these tales. I just loved how the book was structured, and I really, really loved this book. Cool, so we'll go on then to our book number 2. I guess I'll just host this one as well because I was the one that hosted the episode. But this book wasn't chosen by any of us. This is just our annual Harry Potter book episode, and this was the 3rd book in the series, The Prisoner of Azkaban. So this, The Prisoner of Azkaban, scored a average of 4.5. Yeah, we'll go through in the reverse order here. So Jason, you give this a 4 out of 5. I remember you distinctly not liking the whole interest stuff, the start of the book. If you want to talk through your thoughts again.
Yeah, I scored this as one of my lower 4s for the year. It is a cherished story from my childhood, but I think from sort of looking at it, like there are definitely a lot of books that I found were better this year. Yeah, I just felt like the beginning of the story just did drag a little bit for me. But I mean, again, overall, I'm being quite negative. I did still quite like this book. It's still a Harry Potter book at the end of the day. It still transports you to Hogwarts. Like, it still sucks you in, and you still have a good time listening to it. But no, there are definitely better books. I scored it 7th in my list for this year.
Okay, so Stephen, we'll go to you next. You give this a 4.5.
Sure. Yeah, this is a weird one for me because I'm actually I would say it's a bit lower, probably a 4, but only because, similar to what Jason was saying, there was more books that we did this year that I would rate higher, that would overtake it. I actually put this 4th on the list, just narrowly edged out Calypso. So, and I think Different Seasons would have been close too. But yeah, I mean, it's like you were saying, Jason was saying as well, it's a cherished story. It feels wrong to put it any lower. Great book, one that I always come back to every year.
Yeah, fair enough. I give this a 4.5 as well. Brilliant book. Yeah, I love the film as well. I love what this book adds to the film in terms of, I remember mentioning a lot about it explaining things that I didn't feel were well explained in the film, or that, you know, you can't do within a film. And I think the only reason I didn't give this a 5 is just because I have a slight favour towards The Goblet of Fire, which will be the next Harry Potter book we'll cover. So I think, that this is still an amazing book. It came third in my list, just below The Last Wish. And I think it definitely belongs there, and it definitely belongs to be high up on this list. And of course, narrated as well by Stephen Fry, who's always going to keep your scores high. So we'll go over to Michael. You give this a 5 out of 5. So want to talk us through it?
Yeah, this is, I think when I restart Harry Potter, this is probably the book that I am looking forward to getting to most. I think it is, I think I said during the episode, I think it is extremely well plotted. It's the leanest Harry Potter book in terms of what happens and length. You know, the economy of storytelling, I think, is best within this book out of the whole series. I think it gets a bit more bloated after this, and I do like the bigger books, but I just think they do not achieve what this book achieves with just the fastness and the pace of the plot, meshed with the being able to be immersed within the Hogwarts world and everything. So I might change my mind as we do, but as we go over the next Harry Potter books, but I do think this might be my strongest Harry Potter book, but I'll see if I still think that when we finish them. So I definitely think it is deserving of a 5. I was definitely surprised. I think, Jason, you might have done the Name of the Wind thing again, where you give it a good score, but you talked more of negatives because it was framed as being such a good book. But I would personally stand by a 5.
Yeah, cool. So that brings us now to our top book of the year. And the number 1 spot is, of course, The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. And this was narrated by Andy Serkis. There is 3 5s and 1 4.5. I'm giving it an average of 4.875. So just below perfect. A perfect score. So, Stephen, why do you hate me?
Hi guys, I'm not taking on the rage anymore. Yeah, it's not that I hated the book. I liked the book. It's a great book, obviously. It's just we did far better books this year, like enjoyment-wise for me. I'd read this one a couple of times before, and it's something about, I think it's towards the end of the book, it kind of falls off a wee bit for me. I can't really put my finger on it, but I mean, it's not bad. It's just, there's something about it that pulls it down. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's a good one. I love The Hobbit. Andy Serkis is a great narrator, and it's classic. Definitely earns the top. I can see why it earned the top spot, but it's just not where I would put it. I think I actually had it like 9th or something.
Oh, really?
Let me see, 12, 11, 10, 8.
Cool, fair enough. I'll go to myself next. I also give this a 5. I give this a 5. And I think this deserves top spot. It was top of my list. Just an absolute classic. Just brilliant little story. I particularly love the whole Riddles in the Dark chapter. Yeah, it's just a book about adventure and having crack along the way. Great introduction to the Lord of the Rings series and all the lore. Yeah, it's just a fantastic book. Andy Serkis as well narrating this. I think I listened to this before when it wasn't him narrating it, and he definitely brings a lot to this as well, as especially when you do the parts with Gollum. But yeah, his voice acting is just brilliant. What about you, Jason? You give this a 5?
I think I made it quite clear when you picked the book that it was my favourite book that I'd ever read. It was my first time listening to the audiobook. Yeah, I just think it's a masterpiece. I think it's paced almost to perfection. I don't really have many flaws from memory. I love the book. I love Andy Serkis' narrating. I wish I could do it all over again. Definitely highlight of the year for me. It was number 1, obviously. To steal it from Johnny's story if he's going to tell it, but we did say whoever finished bottom for the year would buy the winner the number 1 book for the year. In anticipation, I did buy Johnny the Hobbit already, although thankfully I have not finished the last bit of skin in my teeth.
Well, what I was actually thinking about this. What it should probably be is that we average like all your books over the year, and whoever gets the lowest, which would have been you, I think.
Alright, change the rules last minute.
I'm not changing. I'm just saying this is the way we should do it.
But see, I only did 2 books though.
Yeah, but you're still averaging them, so it would still work out.
But I don't want to discourage people from picking bad books.
Okay.
I want somebody to pick
I don't know,
a bad
Michael.
book
There's
every
been
now
a
and
lot
then.
of rage directed towards me in this one. Hey, I don't know. I'm going to do crowd pleasers for all the way now.
No, the controversy is great. I feel like there should be a prize for the worst book as well, and then like
I agree.
yeah, because it's such a challenge to pick such a shit book.
Prize for the worst book was just you got all the raids this year. So
yeah, just to finish off with Michael, you give this a 5 as well. Talk us through your thoughts.
Yeah, Jason used the exact word that I was thinking of. Masterpiece puts it pretty succinctly. I did not put this on my personal top list. I slightly favor To Kill a Mockingbird, but I think both are two of the best books ever written. Just an incredible book, as Jason has also said, just borrowing everything from what he said. But the pacing of this book is just phenomenal, and the fact that Tolkien had done so much world building, but he shows such restraint to only introduce what is important within this book, and I just think no other fantasy author can do that, to build that level of depth, but just show you the glimpse that you need to have a fun story. I think it is endlessly enjoyable. I think I could read this book, if out of anyone on the list, if I had to read a book 100 times, it probably would be this book. I think that would probably be the one that would be the hardest to get sick of. Yeah, it 100% deserves to be top in my opinion. Even if it's not my personal top, I think it deserves it, yeah.
Fair enough. Well, that's the list then. That concludes our review of our top 12, or our 12 books we did this year. Any thoughts then on our list?
I feel like Calypso would probably climb up a few places.
Yeah.
I think I agree with whoever said that it was a strong year compared to previous years. I think the whole year, the only 1 star was Stephen on Shadow of the Gods, and then the only 2 star after that was me with Ready Player One, and after that I don't think
I give a 2.
Was there another 2 star?
Yeah.
You give a 2 to Good Omens as well. So that was only real in the negative territory out of the whole year. That seems to me to suggest that we mostly just liked the books.
We just like books.
Yeah. Okay, so we've been talking off air a lot about the rating system. Stephen said at the start of this episode he thinks it isn't properly balanced towards the positive side, and I said I do agree with that. There's not enough variability of positivity, so it's making a lot of the scores join together and everything. So we're going to use a different rating system. We're going to do it from 1 to 10, and we're going to do 0.5s as well. So the 1 is like a hate, or like a passionate hate. A number 2 is a strong dislike. A number 3 is a don't like. A number 4 is mildly negative. A number 5 is no strong feelings. A number 6 is an okay. A number 7 is a like. A number 8 is a strong like. A number 9 is a love. And a number 10 is a love, or passionate love, or masterpiece, or whatever you want to put on it. But that's like the top one then. And then we're doing 0.5s between them. So just hoping this gives a bit more variability of the scores. And it's a completely different rating system than our previous one. So like a 4 previously doesn't necessarily convert to an 8 on the new system. We'll figure out how to convert books if we need to do an overall list. But this is a completely new rating system with new meanings behind the scores. So we're going to be using that going forward in 2025. And just one format change that we're doing as well. 2025 going forward, we are going to be announcing what book we're doing just after we score the book that we're doing. We will give what book we're doing next right after that, just so that our segment where we talk, it's a bit more loose and it's a bit less structured, where we're just kind of talking casually. We'll leave that towards the end, so people who just want to listen to stuff about the book can just listen to the review, get the next book, and then move on if they want to. And people who want to continue to listen have that option as well. So I thought that would probably be the best way to work it going forward. Yeah, so guys, on the next episode, which will be coming out on January 1st, 2025, just a reminder, we will be reviewing Red Rising, which Stephen will be hosting that episode. So if you want to listen then, we'll be there on January 1st and we'll be starting 2025 off with our new system and our new format.
Happy New Year.
Thanks for listening all year. It's been good.
Thank you very much. Catch you on the flippity flop.
Catch you on the flip.
Bye bye.
Bye.